By 1964, the standards of free climbing were getting pushed higher and higher, but there was one problem. Nuts and pitons are quite difficult to place while leading hard traditional climbs, especially from the ground up. By 1964, some worthy prototypes were starting to come on the scene. These crackjacks were meant to protect wide cracks, although they took almost the same amount of time as placing a nut to place in the crack and turn the turnbuckle until it's cinched against both sides of the wall. Almost looking like a big pro, they weren't exactly the solution. But with that inspiration, in 1967, Greg Lowe invented the crack Jumar, which was the first prototype of any kind of camming device. It pushed with equal and opposite force against the other side of each wall, and while it wasn't exactly a cam, he did come to that conclusion that there needed to be a constant camming angle, guided by patterns in the universe, galaxies, seashells, weather patterns. He decided that the logarithmic spiral was the thing to replicate and came up with this clean climbing nut, which had two lobes on one side. The problem was, it was hard to place with one hand and often slid out of the crack, leaving you with absolutely no protection. Some would also argue that the idea came from Jumars, which had already been invented and were used in big wall techniques already. But to make this a little bit better, Ray Jardine in 1971 started working on the first actual double-lobed, spring-loaded camming device that you could place with one hand, and this is what the prototype looked like. And he used that in El Dorado Canyon, Boulder Canyon, and then came to Yosemite, spring of 1974, and he did the nose in 20 hours. And so that was huge. So from 1974, when he takes cams to the valley, up to 1978, when they start advertising cams commercially, Ray Jardine just goes on a tear and he climbs every hard crack that he could find to climb with cams. He does Separate Reality, he does the Phoenix, which was the world's first 513A. And in 1976, 2 years before cams were commercially released to the public, he does the first ascent of Hangdog Flyer. Good. Interesting. Oh, it's 12D.
12 feet from the chains. Oh. Because there's a fix.
That's not the most fun, is it? But